Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us tonight for a special collaboration between the USC School of Cinematic Arts, USC Visions and Voices, and LA Skins Fest. We're very happy to present a panel discussion about the Native American actor experience, featuring MorningStar Angeline, Sheri Foster Blake, Kiowa Gordon, Cara Jade Myers, and Martin Sensmeier. And hopefully we'll get Martin in a second. But before we get started, I wanted to introduce my colleague, Stacey Patterson, to offer a land acknowledgement before we get started with the panel. So Stacey, over to you.
Great, thank you, Alex. And good evening, everybody. My name is Stacey Patterson. My pronouns are she, her, and I'm the proud daughter of an enrolled member of the Ojibwe Nation of White Earth, Minnesota. I also serve as a program manager for the Division of Media Arts and Practice here in the school, the USC School of Cinematic Arts. It is my honor to join the organizers and the panelists of tonight's events to welcome you and ask that you join me to acknowledge the land on which we work, teach, study, create, and build community. For those of us in the LA Basin, for all of us who have and will hopefully very soon step foot again on USC campuses, this is Tongva land. Now, one of the times we previously gathered, there were questions about acknowledging the Chumash. They inhabited land that is now what we would call Ventura and Santa Barbara, with some peoples as far south as Malibu. And this is why this question of whom to acknowledge, and especially for those of you who may be connecting with us from somewhere other than Los Angeles, or who have friends and family from nations other than the Tongva, I encourage you, I continue to encourage you to visit, among other places, a website, nativeland.ca, which affords you the opportunity to discover the original people if you are not one of them yourself of your home. The brief time that I have with you is certainly not enough for a full history lesson. I am not a scholar or a human that knows everything about everything indigenous. There are hundreds of federally recognized tribes and pueblos in the United States alone, but I want to share at least a small bit about the people who took great care of the land that is now Los Angeles. Beginning some 3,500 years ago, the Tongva moved into coastal Southern California, inhabiting what is now LA and beyond. And they thrived near their 4 sacred mountains and their 4 sacred rivers, including what was then the wild and free LA River. They developed extensive trade routes and outposts that would become places like downtown LA. When the Spanish began to settle in and colonize this area in the 1600s, conflict was inevitable. Violence, disease, and ultimately forced relocation, a policy the US government would take up as well, profoundly altered the lives of indigenous people. But this is not the end of the story. Far from it. Honoring those who came before us isn't only about the past or about history. It certainly isn't about demise. It is about hope and resilience and the transfer of knowledge that continues across generations in Native communities today. It is a call for all of us to expand our understanding of indigenous people, to understand that Tongva, like many Native people everywhere, continue in the present, that we strive for self-determination, we demand respect for tribal sovereignty and the honoring of long-standing treaties. Like any of us, modern Native people love stories of all genres across all mediums. So as we acknowledge Tongva land, I ask that we, Native or not, through the stories we develop, the research we conduct, the courses we teach, what we imagine and create, is a present and a future that is perhaps a bit less colonized and a bit more indigenized. So I hope that you will all continue to attend programming like tonight whenever the opportunity affords itself to you. And I thank you for your time, and please continue to take good care.
Thank you so much, Stacey. It's really been quite an honor and a pleasure to have you join us for these evenings with LA Skins Fest. And I look forward to many more. So let me kick this over to your moderator for the evening, Ian Skorodin from the LA Skins Fest, and he'll welcome everyone and tell you a little bit more about what's in store. If you have any questions, just feel free to use the Q&A box at the bottom of the Zoom panel, and at a certain point in the evening, we'll open it up and we'll take some questions. We may read them, we may take some people live, but we'll definitely leave time for your questions. All right, so Ian, it's all yours.
Thank you, Alex, and thank you everyone for being here. I really appreciate it. And thank you to the USC School of Cinematic Arts and the University of Southern California Visions and Voices program. And also thank you to Stacey for that beautiful land acknowledgement. Really appreciate that. I also want to thank Patricia Gomez. She's the executive director of the Barrett Foundation. She oversees, she's a USC alumni. She oversees all of our programming really keeps our Barrett boat afloat. So really want to thank her as well. Again, I'm Ian Skorodin. I'm founder of the LA Skins Fest and CEO of the Barrett Foundation. And again, I really appreciate USC having us. And thank you guys for being here. Really appreciate your time. I know all of you are very busy. There's a lot of production going on right now. And so I know you guys are very involved with it. So I want to jump in and have you guys maybe do just a little quick introduction and hello, so everyone knows where you're coming from, where you're from, maybe what led you to acting. That would be great. So Cara, I'm playing favorites tonight, Cara. So please, would you please start for us?
Oh, you're such a liar. Favorite. Hi, I'm Cara Jade Myers, and I am Kiowa in Wichita. I was born and raised in Phoenix, Arizona. I am an actress, obviously, since I'm here on this panel. And I just got cast in the Martin Scorsese film Killers of the Flower Moon as Anna, and I'm super, super stoked. I'm leaving on Sunday for that, which is crazy because then I'm going to be away from my husband for 5 months, and I've never been that long from him before. So that'll definitely be fun, but I'm planning on just being like a sponge and trying to absorb as much as I can and learn as much as I can as I'm sitting on set. What was the other questions?
Well, just like what led you to that? That was the big climax, but that's okay. That's okay. Then we'll come back to it. Like we're gonna.
Okay. So that was like a sneak peek, and then.
Yes, there you go.
Okay, so what led me to acting?
What led you? Yes. What got you to that moment? What brought you there? Or was you were just like, hey, you know what? I'm gonna try this today, and we'll see what happens. Right.
I was just walking on the street one day. No, it was always like a lifelong dream, but then I just never thought I could do it. Never ever thought I could do it. And my husband one day was like, man, you're just like moping around. Like, what's wrong with you? Like, what do you want to do with your life? And I'm like, well, I want to do acting, but you can't just like act. He's like, well, then take a class. And I'm like, well, fine, that's smart. I'll do that, but not because you told me to do it. So then I ended up taking classes and I just ended up falling in love with it. And it was something, like I said, that I've always wanted to do. I just didn't know how. And so my genius of a husband said, take a class. Duh. So I started doing that, and I've been at it for 12 years now, I want to say, just taking class. And this is honestly the first thing that I've booked that's big. So like before that, I was just doing like day player roles kind of thing. So this is stick with your dreams, kids.
So what the big takeaway for me is hook up with your husband, I think was the main start.
Yeah, we just call him for advice.
Yeah, okay, all right. Okay.
You don't know what to do with your life. He'll be like, do this. And you're like, oh, it's kind of smart.
All right, okay, sounds good. All right, definitely involve Cara's husband, everybody, in your career goals. Great, that's great to hear. Sheri, it's been a long time. Can you share a little bit, what led you to acting, and share a little bit about your background? Where are you coming from?
Well, Joe, I come from Texas, and I did some modeling in Texas. And so I was on my way to New York to do theater because I did theater in Texas. But then it was a lot easier. I shut the door.
What's going on over there, Sheri?
The dogs are howling. Cara, congratulations on your gig. That is so awesome. But so I was on my way to New York to do theater, and but it was a lot easier to be a pauper in LA. So when I first got here, my thing was I was going to sell my car, then I would have money to get to New York. But instead of selling the car, I lived in my car. for I'd say about 2 months, which was a treat. It was before it was fashionable. And then from there, I just started studying, and, just things led. I mean, I can, I'll write my book, my memoir someday. But if you want to know, I just started studying. I got out of my car because of, just magic. Things start happening. Once you put something that your passion, your desires, and within the universe, and your ancestors, everyone kind of helps you along. And that's, I've been at it for a very long time. So is that enough for the first teaser?
Yes, that's definitely, no, that's enough for the first teaser. We should end our teasers like that and ask the audience, is that enough? Did you have enough?
No, I've got to tell you, my first guy I studied with was Roy London. And we studied in his apartment throughout LA. And when Gina Davis won her Academy Awards, that's the Thelma and Louise lady. She's, older, Gina Davis. But when she won her the first thing she said was she wanted to thank Roy London. So he was a fantastic guy. He was just a great teacher. And I owe a lot to him for what I do now and how I do it.
And definitely seeking mentorship, instruction. It sounds like
yes. I think there's a lot of naturals at it, that don't need studying, but I think it helps you focus the talent that you do have. And I think everybody has that talent. It's a matter of focusing. With the talent, you have to have the passion, because if you don't have the passion, then you're going to give up. And you can't give up if this is your true self. So I think those ingredients, and then, a sense of community is always nice. When I first got here, there wasn't a big Native community because there wasn't Dances with Wolves. After Dances with Wolves, then everyone comes, right? Which we were so happy. But the sense of community that we have now in LA in terms of theater and acting and actors and writers, we're all storytellers. And because there's so many of us here, now we can start telling our stories, and I know Martin Scorsese is going to tell one of our stories about the Osage and what happened to the women there and what happened to the land, the oil and the money. But at least right now we have natives that are going to help tell the story, where before it would have been non-natives telling a native story by a non-native director and a non-native writer. So we've come a long, long way. And I think it's because of community and because everyone's coming together and supporting each other. I think that's very important.
Definitely, yeah. And I think also that the industry is also coming around.
Right.
They're being more supportive as well. So thank you.
It's not Canada, but
Get with it. You're stepping on my climax, Sheri. No, I'm kidding. Just kidding. Kiowa, representing the male demographic here tonight. Please tell us.
I am. Where's Martin?
Tell us from a marginalized perspective, So, introduction. Hello, and what led you to acting?
Hi, I'm Kiowa Gordon. I am Wallapai, and amongst other things, I'm a mutt. But yeah, I got a daughter here. If you want to say hello, Kylie. Anyways,
yes, please. Yes,
she'll come in and out. She's very shy. You want to say hi real quick? No, okay. She's not ready. She'll come in to bombard at some point when somebody else is talking. But what led me to acting was, just like Cara, I loved acting and I was all about that, and I wanted to get into that. Like I'd always make up stories in my head, or like with my action figures, I'd be playing with my G.I. Joes and Star Wars toys and Legos, because I didn't like hanging out with my siblings most of the time because we'd just be fighting. So I just make stories up and do that. And then I never thought I could do it because my mom would go off and do extra work in these movies and whatever, and would want to make it out here, but she has 8 kids, so it's really hard for her to do that. And then I was going to so I threw a party in high school and I got kicked out of my dad's place. So I went to live with my mom, and I was going to church with her, I needed God in my life. So my Sunday school teacher was Stephanie Meyer, the writer of the Twilight series, the books, and they were making the next installment of the movies, right? So Twilight New Moon. So she's like, you need to go audition for one of the werewolves and I'll put in a good word for you. I'm like, okay, all right. I guess this is it. I gotta buck up. 18-year-old me just going in, do it. I had like all my hair was like all in my face going into the audition. And it was like the funniest thing because they're like, can you like go to the bathroom and throw some water in your hair, get it out of your face? I was like, yeah, sorry. I don't know what I was thinking. So I auditioned for like Paul and like Quill and Embry, and then I guess Chris White's the director of New Moon had a dream and like saw all of our faces, so he picked each one of us through his dream or whatever. And it's like, okay, sure, I'll bite. Hey, why not? I got the part. Rest is history. Been doing it for 12 years now, and yeah, so there it is. And now it's like, hey, you know what? You can be picked out of any place, you know, diamond in the rough, you'll find it. So don't ever lose hope.
No, that's awesome, man. You know, that's the one bad thing not bad thing, that's the one thing that we all aren't going to be able to rely on is the mystical, you know, having the director of the mystical dream, because the director or the writer is going to be native, and they don't do that. And, you know, they don't have these dreams, man. You know? Yeah.
No, they do it, but
I had a nightmare.
Their brow.
Oh, that we were over budget is what happened. Anyway, okay, great. MorningStar, hi. You look like you're like in a private lounge in a VIP area somewhere. So thank you. Yeah,
you remember these
exactly.
from the lab?
Yes, live from the Viper Room. So I don't. That's all that's going on.
Put my headphones on.
I know. No, but if you please, a little about yourself and what led you to acting.
Yeah. Hello, my name is Morningstar Angeline. I think I found acting a little bit by chance. I grew up on a reservation border town, Gallup, New Mexico, and I did theater growing up as a kid, but like that kind of theater you don't really think is going to go anywhere. You're just kind of doing it, right? And I think as a young child, the degree of separation between me and like real acting, who's on the TV and all that was very, very far. And it wasn't until my parents divorced and my mom wanted to move to LA, so we did. And I think the proximity just made it easier to seem attainable. So I spent several years going through theater programs there, going through acting programs, and eventually was just really disheartened by Los Angeles, to be frank. I was like, nope, this isn't for me. Started getting tattoos. It was like, I'm gonna not act. I'll just find work behind the camera. And as the universe would have it, shortly thereafter, I was cast in a feature film, Junktown's Finest, and was kind of just catapulted into this thing that I always wanted, but didn't really think was attainable. And from there, it's been, you know, as we know, acting in film is not linear. It doesn't like follow some sort of trajectory. So I think it's constantly just trying to stay passionate and sadly stay relevant, whatever that even means. So I think it was a mixture of proximity and passion, probably. A little bit of luck.
No, but that's well put. Staying relevant, and I don't know, just pushing. You always have to, you know, it's getting out of your comfort zone. You know, I think is a big. Everybody. Oh yeah. It's getting out of your comfort zone. I don't even act, and I don't like to get out of my comfort zone. So, I'd like to talk about you guys' most recent projects, where either you wrapped or coming up. You know, how did you, I'm sorry, my notes are right here. I'll flip you guys over. How did you get the part? How did you prep for the audition? And how do you prep for the role? You know what, Sheri, let's jump to you.
Okay. Let's see. I have an acting coach that I always go over everything with, Charles Carroll, and he's been my coach for about 25 years. And the last thing I did a Duplass Brothers film. I don't know if you know who the Duplass brothers are, but they do a lot of independence. Mm-hmm. And so they usually do small character films. And so I played a waitress, which I used to wait on tables. So, you know, what actor hasn't, right? And so the whole process, I interviewed with the director. I just did an interview, and luckily he knew my work. And so we just talked, and then he just asked me if I wanted it. And I said, sure. It was such a treat, because this is the first, there was no, because of COVID, and because I think of, this is independent. There was no AD. The only people that were there was camera. We had camera, cinematographer, and all the camera positions, but there was no hair and makeup. Once I got there, I never once looked in a mirror to see how I looked. So it made it really raw. It made it really real. It was more about the work. For the first, it was a wonderful experience. And I would encourage everyone to, do that, do it with a camera. And then I was lucky enough to do Aragon Stars. Like I said, I was in the closet for like 3 weeks. Aragon Stars.
Can you clarify that a little more?
I'm out of the closet now. No, because Aragon Star, who's a writer, did a thing called.
You can clarify what you mean by that.
Well, see, I'm trying to tell you about Aragon's project, and it's a radio show, or it's on, And so we all had mics, and since of COVID, we couldn't go to a booth. So in your closet, because it's so padded, that's where you stay, and you're just with microphones on, and with a microphone, and everyone's doing a zoo, and you're doing your characters. And so we created 3 episodes. And so that was a blast, because I've never done that before. And so, that's the beautiful thing about what we all do is you just keep doing it, and you keep doing it different ways, and and then I did, it's been a long time from Kimmy Schmidt, but that was my first thing that I did. And that's what I want to tell you, young guys, you're going to go do these great shows, and then all of a sudden there's nothing for, it could be years, but now I don't think so, because we're getting more and more. But it took me a long, long time to book a series. It took years and years and years, and that's where you have, the sense of community comes in, the sense of your worth, your passion. And in terms of auditioning, I just want to encourage everyone. It's not like a competition. We are not auditioning against each other. We're supporting each other. We all go in and do our best work that we can. And it's not a party. You show up on time, and it's work. And another thing I think that's important to know is that it is a business. We all forget, we're all creatives, but it's a business. So that agent is very important, because I don't like to talk about money. So you have someone else do it for you, So Aragon Stars project was great, and the Duplass Brothers was good. And then there was another series I did earlier in the year, but I think everyone's probably been on it. It's called, oh gosh, I forget what it's called, but everybody, I'm sure you guys auditioned for it. The
Peacock show.
Yes, the Peacock.
Rutherford Falls. Yeah, Rutherford
Falls. That was it. Yeah, I did that. So, okay. But that seems so long ago. So that happened before Christmas. Okay. So anyway, so that's what la-di-da, that's me. And I just turned down a job because I have another thing planned. So it's the first time I said, oops, no can do. So that was a good feeling that I had a choice. Usually it's, okay, you want this? Yeah, I'll do it. But this was so, even when you get older, you still do it, guys. You get, I think you just keep evolving. It's really a wild trip. It's going to be fun for you guys. And you're doing so well. Oh my gosh. So all of you, I'm in awe.
Thank you, Sheri.
Congratulations.
Kiowa, can you talk about your most recent project, one that was wrapped or coming up, and how did you prep for the audition, and how did you prep for the role?
Yeah, so I just booked, I don't know if I'm allowed to say this, but I just booked a part on Reservation Dogs with Sterling. So that's going to be dope. Super excited about that. I auditioned for 2 different roles, but they liked me for this one. I'm like singing this old Midnight Rider song, the Allman Brothers band.
I know which role. I know which one.
There you go. Okay. Did you go out for the other part?
I went out for grandma.
I did. It's a small
Oh,
world.
man, I don't know. I know.
Yeah, I love this world. We all know what's up. But yeah, it's exciting. I mean, so I just listened to the song over and over to try to like just get all of it right, because I'm just like singing in the car for the audition, like just totally going off on this song. I'm like, hell yeah, I'm gonna nail this. I'm gonna make it look good, make it sound good. And yeah, so I went out, did that tape, and then I went to my grandfather's funeral in Washington. And then I got a call back from Sterling, and he's like, hey man, can you do a little Zoom meeting and just do it over Zoom? I'm like, shoot, yeah, sure. Now I'm just like super nervous. I'm like, dang it, I like doing it myself and just doing as many takes as I want, not in front of no pressure whatsoever. And now it's like, oh, Sterling, whatever. I mean, I know Sterling. We were supposed to do his movie Mecca together, but scheduling conflict, and then Zahn stepped in and took the job that he wanted me to do. And I was like, dude, hell yeah, because Zahn is such a terrific actor, and he was just so perfect for that role. So I'm really excited that happened. And now 7 years later, I get to finally work with him, and I'm just stoked. I'm just going to keep continuing to live my life, because I feel like just living my life I'm not waiting, I'm not living my life statically waiting for that call. I'm a father first and foremost. I'm going to take care of my kid, make sure she's got food on the table. So I'm going to just live my life. And when I'm called up to go out and shoot next month in Oklahoma, I guess, Tulsa, I'm just going to step in and do it. Like that's what I got to do. It's not like I'm going to be like, oh my gosh, I got to like cut myself off and only think of the 80s. So that's really how it is. Like, because real acting is not acting. It's just you being a person. So I just wanted to take myself and give it to this role, lend it to that. And that's really all I'm preparing, is just continuing to be the best person I can be. That's it. Well, I guess this guy isn't the best person, so I got to also think about how shitty I have been. Excuse the language. But
Ooh, okay, all right. Settle down, Kyle.
That's it. I'm gonna leave it at that.
No, it sounds like everyone's going to Oklahoma. What's up with that? I mean, I left Oklahoma to come here.
Hey man, it's Indian country now. That is the hub.
I know. So it's like, that was smart. Anyway, fantastic, Kiowa. Thank you. Yeah. MorningStar, can you talk about your most recent project that you got, whether you wrapped or it's coming up, and how did you get it? How did you prep for the audition? How are you prepping for the role?
So many questions. Let's see here. Currently in production with Outer Range, which is an Amazon series shooting out here in New Mexico. And in that one, I have a reoccurring role for, her name's Martha Hawk, and she's the partner of the first woman sheriff in that area. And we have a little family where I don't know how much I can say, but it's a nice, refreshing part from the trauma. Like in this, it's very light, it's very joyful, it's just a queer family existing, and all of those things. So that's what I'm currently. Yeah, thank you, Kiowa.
Kiowa's a fan. He's a good cheerleader. Yeah, all right, we got the whole posse coming out. No, that is awesome though. That's great. Having so many projects going on. So that is really great to hear. And then
yeah.
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, I mean, I think it's funny because, while we're talking about all these projects, we tend to all, this is adorable. We tend to know all of the projects. Like it's a small pool. It's growing, but it's a small pool. So the chances are if it's coming across my desk, it's coming across Cara's, it's coming across like a whole bunch of other friends of mine. And so during the preparation, actually, I had auditioned for the lead for Outer Range, who I am now the wife of. So it's like these roles just kind of, the right one I think will find you. In the middle of auditioning for Outer Range for the role I have now, I was auditioning for Martin Scorsese's film. So I remember that time being extremely chaotic, and I was working behind the scenes in crew on a feature during that time. And I just remember doing 3 auditions that night. And I think, that's the kind of problems we hope for, but there's still, it's overwhelming and you can't really do the preparation that you want to put into it. You're just like, here it is, guys. So I remember, sending over my tapes and not feeling that confident in the decisions that needed to be made in those. And I think it just goes to show, there's a lot said amongst actors that you book the things that you kind of release your control over, and you just kind of like surrender to it and you don't care as much. So I think, there's something to that, although a lot of the time we try to give our all, but that was definitely one of those cases where I had zero thought that I would get it, and they booked me from the tape. So I didn't have a callback. I didn't have anything like that. And that's also a rarity.
Oh, that's awesome. Yeah, from the tape. And that's like so hard to like kind of see, but they just really need to see something. So sometimes that's enough, sometimes you just fit the
And
part.
what Kiowa said just made me, I'm like, see, there's no rhyme or reason. If they're picking us from their dreams, then guys, we might as well have some fun here.
Yes, exactly. No, exactly. Who knows? It's the whim of the filmmaker. There you go. That's
These are so sorry.
Oh, okay. Where's the rest of it? Okay, Cara. Okay. We had the big opening, Goodfellas opening the trunk in the beginning scene. Now we've come back to it. Now we're seeing how it happened. So can you talk about your most recent project, how you landed the role, how you prepared for the audition, how you are prepping for the role?
Prepping. Well, the Martin Scorsese film, it started back in November of 2019. So I've been auditioning for it for a while, and they're holding auditions, and I auditioned a bunch of times, and then the course casting was like, oh, don't worry about it, you'll hear, because it was in November, December time, like you'll hear in the New Year's. And then the New Year's comes, and Martin just released The Irishman, so he was doing the award season for that, and they're like, oh, he hasn't even looked at the tape yet, just sit tight, and then all of a sudden COVID hit, and we're just like, it's done. And so then, of course there was certain uncertainty around that forever, and then I was just like, probably didn't get it, they're whatever. And then November 2020 comes around, and then they start calling us into audition again. And so then I think I only auditioned once again in November, and then after that it was Zoom calls with Mr. Scorsese, and I did a couple of those with him. And then like a week later I found out I got it, and they're just like, you can't tell anyone. And so I've literally been sitting on it for like 4 or 5 months at like, oh yeah, I booked it, but
Wow.
yeah, so that's how I got that part. But
Okay.
to your process, it's fine, just like that.
Oh, I mean, did you do any? I mean, of course you were, you expected more from yourself or challenged yourself. Can you talk about what you did to?
Yeah, totally. Because the in-person auditions, I had a little, it was awesome because you got to go in person, and you got to actually, back in 2019 when we could be face to face. But so it's prepping. It's based off the book Killers of the Flower Moon by David Grann. So of course, like I read the book, I was going through for whatever part I was reading, I was like rereading those sections, and it's such a messed up book. So it's just a sad story. And what's crazy is I never, even being a native originally from Oklahoma, because I lived in Oklahoma when I was like 5, like I never heard the story. And so it's crazy that like I literally lived in Tulsa too, which is the crazy part. And then I never heard about it. So that's also part of the messed upness of it. But yeah, so like it's just reading the book. And then once I found out that I booked it, I was able to, I've been taking Osage classes to learn the language. I've been watching everything I can from like the 1920s. I've been talking to like Osage tribal members and just like, hey, what was the family like out there, and or times in your family. And it's crazy because like the names and stuff that you read in the book, I'm like talking to their great grandkids, and it's just like, and they're like, oh yeah, it's I don't know, it's insane, So it's definitely like, I think just reading and watching and just doing everything I can to try to get into zone of it. And like I said before, and that's once I booked it. Before with the auditions, it was me just trying to like do some research, and like unfortunately there's not a lot of history, I guess, recorded history on Native Americans back in that time. It's mostly just like, oh yeah, they were alive, they died, that's it, kind of thing, like nothing about their life. So that's a little frustrating. But yeah, it's just I have an acting coach, Ben Mathis at Crash Acting, and he helps me go through these lines and stuff like that. At least pre-pandemic he did. Pandemic now, everything's messed up. Oh, hey Martin.
Hey, Martin, all right.
Hey Martin,
Well,
you gotta change your name.
It's actually Patricia's here. All right, Patricia, say hello. Martin, you have if you could click on the 3 dots there at the top, you could change your name. You change your name out. All right, man, we'll stand for like another hour or so, and we'll get my caught up, and get your mute on there, and your there it goes. And
Martin's still in my thunder.
all right.
Oh, nice.
No,
I'm so sorry, guys.
Not at all, man. You're just in time.
I don't even see Martin.
Great.
Where are you?
Indian
I
time.
can't see
Indian time. Started right on time, Indian time. Cool. We're good.
Oh no, thank you everyone. I really appreciate your time. So next month we're having another cultural series. So thank you all for coming tonight. Really appreciate it. Have a good night, everybody. No, I'm kidding. So no, Martin, actually, we just went through everyone for this one question. We're talking about a recent role that we got, that you might have gotten, or a recent project that you got that might have wrapped or just come up. And we're talking about how you got the role, how you prep for the audition, and how you prep for the role now.
I think. Well, I just did a movie in the last movie I did was in December, and we shot in LA. It wasn't that big of a part. I actually had that one offered to me.
Mm-hmm.
But it was a familiar casting director who had been in other movies with. So yeah, but it's actually got to work with Sam Worthington, which is really cool. Really cool guy. And Lena Headey, she's really, really cool. But I just got the script, and tried to just learn my lines as best as I could and try to figure out, it was a villain, and it wasn't a super hard character to play. So, like you just learn your lines as best you can. And that's what I did. I studied, kind of isolated myself, and just worked on my lines as much as I could. And then we got to play. The director was really cool. She let us play. So we got to ad lib and go off script a little bit. But yeah, I mean, you prepare differently for different roles. So that one didn't require too much preparation. But yeah.
All right. All right. That was an easy one, right?
Yeah. But I could tell you about all the auditions. If you want to talk about auditioning for stuff, then I could talk all day about the stuff that I didn't book, because there's so many,
Yeah, no, we're not talking about that.
So I'm still auditioning. Yeah, I definitely still audition for stuff, and I definitely still getting turned down for a lot of stuff. So it's all good. Keep it moving.
Yeah, that's definitely
yeah, it keeps us humble.
Yeah, man, exactly.
I imagine that's
and
part
you
of
get
the
to work on a lot of material.
Mm-hmm.
You get, like I've never, I've had some big auditions, huge auditions where I'm like, oh, this is gonna be great, like, and then you work really hard on it for like 3 days, and basically dedicate hours and hours and hours each of those days, and then you audition and hear nothing back, and it's like, oh well, next one, on to the next. When I first started out, it was always, oh man, this is gonna be the game changer, this is gonna be the one. And then you start imagining being on set, and then you do the audition, you get all nervous and vomit. No.
Well, that's the reality too.
Or you kill it and still don't get the part.
Yeah.
Right.
It's so weird how you do and you don't. I for some reason, I was doing a show, you've done it for years and years, I got stage fright. It was so weird. It came from I don't know where, and I couldn't remember one line, and it was like bye bye. But yeah, those lines are something else. But and it is you work and you try and you do your best. That's all you could do.
Mm-hmm.
You get some, you lose some, you get some. So
Sheri's taking over the panel now. Okay. Thank you, Sheri. Oh, and another, just real quick, Martin, if you can maybe just say hello, introduce yourself, your background.
Oh yeah, shit, my bad.
No, that was my. You men.
I could have asked that.
Okay. Yeah, no, and then if you maybe a
Martin
little.
Sensmeier here.
What led you to acting? Your background, what led you to acting? All right, we'll keep the profanities to a minimum.
Yeah. My bad.
No, it's okay.
What led me to acting? Wow, that's a good question. I think just the curiosity mainly. I did theater plays in school and stuff growing up. But that's not like serious acting. That's just having fun, dressing up and having fun and working on. We'd work on these plays for a couple of months, but it's one of the things that I guess I caught the bug because I daydreamed about it all the time. But that, up in Alaska, I was all the way. So for those of you who don't know, I'm from Alaska, small town, Yakutat, Alaska. There's like 600 people there. Yeah, I just got a curiosity for it, and then started taking acting classes when I was like 20, 21. I started making a little bit of money working on oil rigs up in Alaska, and gave me a lot of time off. So I just traveled and came to LA, and I found myself in an acting class, and I was in there with other people who were on like Disney shows and stuff, And I was like, oh man, they could, like, I'm doing scenes. This is cool. Like, you get good feedback from your teacher, and you get confidence, and it's kind of one of those things like, oh, I could do this. I could probably get a role, So yeah, that's just kind of the, and then I floated around to different classes and kind of, would audit a lot more than and just kind of go check out different places, and yeah, just kind of had fun with it. So when I booked my first movie role, I think I was like, I had stopped working on the oil rigs by then, but I was like delivering food and I remember taking time off and did the movie for like 3 weeks, and I made like $2,500 or something. And I was like, this is cool, man. This is it right here. I could do this, like heck yeah, this could be it right here. Make, work on movies here and there and make a little extra change and then work when I'm not working, So that's, I never thought that I would work on bigger movies than those small things, like it's just, I just have a genuine interest in it, and I love it. So yeah.
Oh, that's great, man. No, thanks, dude. No, that's, just hearing you guys' stories, and just, really understanding that, you do have to work for it. I mean, there are going to be ups and downs, and then sometimes the ups are, can be hard too, I mean, it's not all, it's, it looks glamorous, but it is a lot of hard work. So I think that's the main thing. That's what I like to convey to youth and others that want to break into acting, how hard it is. It's like, really, you guys make it look really easy, and you guys are so beautiful. We all want to be you, okay? But it takes a lot of hard work to do that, right? So I mean, you guys, take care of yourselves, and and there's a lot of sacrifices you make to do that. So I just, it's hard work. So I just, want to make sure that our, because people are asking a lot of questions, about breaking in and things like that, and just, I think, understanding that the sacrifice and hard work is.
Yeah. I think of breaking in, like, if you genuinely like have an interest in it, then pursue it. But if you want to break in for other reasons other than wanting to just like participate and perform and you participate in the arts and perform, then like your motivation's all wrong, because whatever you're pursuing, it has to begin with like what you want to express, how your relationship to the story. And I think that people get motivated by other things, then you're chasing something that's not real, and I think that the reward, that reward is, it's not real. It's not, so you're never going to attain what you want to attain. It's just going to be something that you end up getting lost looking for, and I think that yeah, like when you just want to do it, you're okay with doing it at a play, or you're okay with doing it in a theater, or you're okay doing it on a movie where you're not making any money, or maybe get lucky and make some good money. But yeah, I just have fun with it, whether it's good or maybe it doesn't, maybe you think it's going to be good, you read a script and you're like, oh, it's going to be good, and then you get on set and you're about 3 days in and you're like, this movie's gonna suck. but you keep but at the same but at the same time, like, even when you find yourself in that situation as an actor, you have the responsibility to say, like, no, I'm still gonna do my best to kill it. I'm still gonna show up on time. I'm still gonna know my lines. I'm still gonna put forth my best effort, because the worst thing you could do is be bad in a bad movie. You don't want to. It's better to be good in a bad movie than be bad in a bad movie, and it's better to be bad in a good movie than it is to be good in a bad movie too.
Wow, man. that was nice, man. It's very native, very mystical. Dude, that was nice. I like that. So look, I really like anecdotes. I really like anecdotes. I think anecdotes are really helpful when people hear really like true things that happened, that have taught us lessons. Like, so for example, like on the filmmaker side, like when I ask filmmakers, what's an anecdote you can share with people, like what not to do. So like, they didn't hit record, they left their gear when in and out, and everything was stolen, and their hard drives are stolen. So there's some examples of like what happens to the filmmakers, of big don'ts, Do you guys have some things that you might have done that really taught you what, like, you shouldn't do that, and so maybe not everybody knows that, MorningStar, you have any lessons for us?
You got the time. I don't know. I think we all, have to remind ourselves of this, and it goes to what we've kind of all been speaking of tonight, is that, again, it's not linear. So I think reminding yourself that your lack of work or your lack of booking is not necessarily a reflection of your lack of talent or passion. It can be a reflection of a lot of things, and a lot of things that have nothing to do with you. I think like working as a director and working behind the camera, I've seen that it can really come down to things that are completely out of your control and do not speak to anything like that. So I think it's just reminding yourself of that, because it becomes very hard when you book the big projects or you get in the room with the big projects, and you think, a lot of people say, like, use momentum in this industry, like, you have great momentum right now, and momentum really isn't a verb in terms of like it's happening and it's something you're doing. It's kind of another form of make-believe. So I think willing to jump into that in the work that you're doing, and also in this delusion that you're gonna, quote unquote, make it. I think letting go of that and just letting it happen. And like I said, I think the right parts find us. It's hard sometimes when I feel like we come from marginalized communities, and a lot of the time we don't get really good roles that are really well written or really well thought out. And so when they come our way in an audition, it's like, oh, like, I don't want to get attached, but like, this is fun, this is passionate. And so, just remind yourself every day after every audition that, it may or may not be necessarily in your control.
Great. Okay. No, thank you for that. Cara, do you have maybe an anecdote from your acting career that you'd like to share, something that maybe we should not be doing, or advice for some people who?
Well, don't bring weapons into an audition room.
Okay.
I did not do that.
That's a thing. So it needs to be said, unfortunately.
Okay. Oh, that wasn't a joke. Okay.
I mean, it's not, but
That's usually a bad idea.
Right, I know. My big advice is just to be nice, because like MorningStar said, like, when you're working to be an actor, like for me, I've done PA work, I've done crafty, I've done writing, I've done directing, I've been a stagehand, I've been, and like, it sounds weird, but it is a very small community, Hollywood is. And so it's like, I still remember me being a PA, and I remember some of the crew that were a-holes, you know, and I'm like, I don't ever want to work with them, you know. And it's like, I remember being, you know, like a background actor, and like who was nice to me and who wasn't. And it's like, and it's one of those things where it's like, I've had people where I'm literally like, I don't want to work with them, you know. And like, I remember those things. Like, if you're nice to me, I'm like, oh yeah, the person was nice, awesome to work with, cool, whatever. But if you're like a dick, like, and the thing is you never know who people are gonna be, you know. Like, I had this PA I was working with, and she ended up writing for Shondaland. So like, you know, it's like, you just don't know. So like, honestly, Hollywood, just don't be a dick is my big thing. Don't bring weapons into a room. Just, you know. Oh, and then co-stars. Do not start hitting on your other co-stars. Like, can you not? It's gross. Like, just like, we're here to act. Because I'm in a scene with you and I pretend to like you doesn't mean I actually like you. Get it straight.
I'm sure, no, that's good advice. Kiowa, you seem to have responded to that. Would you like to piggyback on what Cara has said?
Yeah, so yeah, be a good person. I mean, hopefully you're a good person, and I feel like good people should succeed in this industry, especially because we need more kindness in this world, and to inspire others to be kind. And also, when you're auditioning, remember to always give it your all. Don't think that because, oh, I'm not right for this, you're gonna just like put it out there and it's gonna reflect badly on you. You're not gonna get a call back ever, and they're not gonna bring you in for other things. So what I like to do is make fans of the casting departments, and you know, be like, hey, if you don't want me for this part, you're gonna want me for another part. Mm-hmm. I'm gonna do that. I'm gonna make sure that you know who I am and what I can do, and I'm hopefully I have a reputation of being a professional on set, and that you'll hear that through the grapevine or whatever, and that I won't have any like problems attached to me to be like, oh yeah, we don't know about that guy. We don't know if we should hire that guy or that person. Yeah, I don't know. That's really all I can do. Anyways, yeah.
Be on time.
Well, yeah, there you go.
Yeah. Oh my God. I was always so late in my earlier years after Twilight. I was like, oh, I'm hot stuff. Like, everything's mine. Like, whatever. I don't care about that. I'm gonna show up when I want to show up, and I'll just half-ass things, thinking, like, it goes back to being like, go all in on these auditions. Like, you know what? This is a Disney show. I don't need to care about this. And here they are. They own like the whole freaking industry now. So there goes all my Star Wars hopes and dreams, all my Marvel dreams. Just kidding. No, at least I don't have like, you know, those child stars who have problems now as adults. I got to save myself from that a bit, I think, because I was scared of that, and I didn't want to become that. So I think that's why I didn't put too much stock in those auditions, because I wanted to be taken seriously, and not as like oh, he's a Disney kid, you know, like that wasn't my trajectory for myself that I wanted. I wanted to be looked at as a serious person, because my whole life I was never taken seriously. So yeah.
Great, no, thank you. You know, I think a big takeaway from that, being punctual. Martin, do you want to talk about maybe being punctual at a time? Just kidding, dude. But no, I mean, please share, you know, something like some advice for our audience.
Well, I just noticed the chat questions here.
Yeah. I was gonna.
Yeah, I just want to respond to Jeff. The theater is serious acting. I know theater is serious. I was talking about child acting. You know, like when you're in 4th grade, it's not serious acting. It's a play. You know, that's why it's called a play. You get to call it's because it's a play. You're playing literally. So I think there's a thing that, you know, like this approach to acting where we take it serious, but it's not like life or death. You know, like it's the theater, what they call a script. And when you get the book, when you go to the production, is literally called a play. You know, it means play. So it's not that serious, but we take it serious as actors because we're trying to make a living doing it and stuff like that. But to answer the second question, how do you know that a movie you're acting is going to be bad? When you're on set and shooting's not going right, and you might have a scene that's taking too long, which is pushing another scene back, which needs to be rescheduled, which causes, you know, or you have really bad weather, which is out of your control, and you lose a week of shooting to bad weather, and they can't reschedule everything, so they're cutting scenes, and then the next thing you know, the plot's cut out of the movie, and it's left to the editor to try to piece something together. That happens. And then sometimes you just like you'll see some actors that aren't prepared with their material. They'll be on social media or whatever, and not prepared, not working and then they'll have a scene coming up, and then they'll do the scene and not know their lines. And it's like, you don't even know your lines, you know? So, you know, and then it takes them 12 takes to get to their, to get a decent take. And by the time they get that, you know, you're already, you know, like it can throw the whole vibe off. So there's a lot of variables that can make a film not work. Yeah, so that's kind of one, you know, but that's, you know,
No,
yeah. But to answer your question, one of the things I think that any advice of starting out, like, you know, Cara said, show up on time. That's number one. You know, show up on time and be nice and have a good attitude and take everything, you know, like it's a great opportunity, and it's a privilege and it's an honor to be able to book a role to where you're actually making money doing it, you know? So for me, I just think about that, you know, because I have to provide. And so it's, you know, if I get to do it doing this, then that's amazing. You know, I've had jobs where I've worked in fishing and logging and you know, oil field welding and oil rigs, and, you know, like this is much better than all of those. You know, so, and it's still a struggle. It's still, you know, it's still something to work at and constantly, you know, and you get opportunities that you think that you're really right for, and then it turns out you're not, you know, and like and then you see the thing that comes out and you're like, oh yeah, they cast the right person, or you think, oh, I would have done it better than them, you know, whatever. The fact of the matter is that, you know, like we deal with so much rejection all the time that you kind of get thick skin, and you just learn how to keep going and not lose hope. It's like, no, I've worked before. I know I'm going to work again. I love doing this, and you know, there's so many stories to be told, and also I'd say when you're on set and you're mic'd up, don't talk shit.
Very good. Okay. That's good advice. That's really good.
There's a little button on your mic, you can turn it off, you know? So just take your little lav off and turn the button and turn the mic off. Don't trust the sound guy.
Got it. Yes, definitely not, because the director will say, leave everything hot and record everything. So definitely. Sheri, do you have maybe an anecdote you'd like to share, a lesson?
Well, I think everyone I think it's real important. No weapons. Don't be a dick. Know your lines, and be grateful, you know, and remember it is a business. So if we don't know our lines and they have to take another take, there's money through the camera. And the director and producers will remember, you know, that's something that you don't forget. So I think that's the best advice any of us could give, or anyone, is those three things. And the mic, don't, you know, be aware of the mic, and a hot mic, because things do go on. So I think everyone's on the right track there.
Okay, no, thank you. You know what? I think no, that was all my questions. So let's go ahead and jump to some of these. Over some people have some questions here, and if you guys see one you like, it's cool. But I think Delilah Begay has a question. She's a student at Haskell Indian Nations, and she's had a couple role, or a small role. So she doesn't have much of a resume. So she wanted to know how to make a resume stand out. Do resumes come into play? I guess they do if they want someone who's experienced or see your background. Can you guys talk about that? Does anyone want to jump on that, or should I?
I think work. Your resume, you know, you can study if you have special talents, like, you know, especially in our community and who we are, we might be a great grass dancer, and that, you know, use that if you don't have a resume. That's a huge talent. You know, if you're on the powwow circuit, that counts, you know, that's entertainment. And I think if you're a writer and when you're starting out, anything you can put down in the arts, that I think it's valid, because our community is so small, and it's like a lot of us we're so spread out, like in Alaska in the old fields, and you go to class or you come down. So I think even the school plays, if you did some plays in school and you want to audition for Martin Scorsese for one of the parts, you know, that's valid. You know, it's when you're starting out, you have to start somewhere. So, you know, I think everything's valid that you do, and especially in our culture.
Mm-hmm. No, thank you for that, Sheri. Does anyone else want to add to that?
I will. For me, it's definitely be an acting class. Like the more you can be an acting class, the better, because you'll get the work. And then number 2 is just make your own things. Like, even if you're just like write a 2-minute, you know, script and you shoot it on your iPhone and you enlist your friends to do it, like start understanding what it takes to make just even small little 2-minute shorts, and then start building. Like when I wasn't working, I enlisted all my acting friends and I'm like, let's put on a play, you know, like even if only 10 people come and see it, like let's work, let's put our, you know, butts on the line and just put our sweat, blood, and tears in it, and like let's do it. So it's like just constantly trying to find things to do to keep yourself busy, to, you know, read your books, like watch the movies, you know, all that stuff. But my big advice is just be in acting class and create your own stuff.
Definitely, yeah. Anyone else? I can. Dana S has a really good question here. She's talking about motivation and maintaining that motivation to keep going to auditions, and so I would imagine you guys do. I mean, there's a certain kind of disheartening feeling you have. How do you maintain your motivation, though? Martin? Oh, okay, Martin, please. How do you maintain
We're
your
actors,
motivation?
man. We're actors, man. I give up like 3 times a year, bro.
Then you wake up.
I'm like telling my brother that I'm getting a real job, man. I can't do this anymore. I got to do something, you know. No,
but you know, Martin, can I ask?
You're gonna, you know, like it's that thing of you have to. It's, I don't know about. No, I mean, you just, failure is not the opposite of success. It's a part of success. So it's something that just you know, like it's just a part of, you know, like if you're a hunter and you go hunting in the wild, you might be successful. If you're a really good hunter, you might be successful 20% of the time. If you're really, really good, average, maybe 5%, you know, like, and you're going to go back empty handed. So that's, you know, we're hunting for jobs, you know, and I think that, you know, you just have to be okay with the rejection, you know, like not take it personally, not take you might, yeah, it's just, one of the things we just keep going back. I don't know, man. I can't explain this shit.
You're fine.
I don't know why I do it. I don't know why I don't give up, man. I just don't give up.
Fall on that sword, baby.
I want to do it because there's this urge inside of me, like I just got to keep doing it, man. I can't,
right.
Like I'm never gonna stop.
It burns, man.
Awesome. Very eloquent. Well put. Okay. All right. Your English accent is like it starts to. I can't understand you all the time, but you're perfect. You're perfect. Jeff Fairhand has a question about a dream role. Do you guys have a dream role that you guys ever dream about? Kiowa, do you have a dream role that you think about maybe one day?
Marvel, Disney. Now we want
at
Disney.
This point it's cliche, but I always wanted to do my own take on the Joker. But I mean, there's still time. When I'm 50, maybe that could come around. Who knows?
That was not you on the Snyder Cut.
They're remaking that role like every 3 years.
Yes!
They're remaking that every couple of years. You get a shot at it.
Yeah, exactly. Right.
Yeah, exactly.
Why not?
Yeah, it'll be back around. They'll do another remake next year.
Hell yeah.
No, you'd be dope in that though. Shit.
Wow.
I mean, I scare myself sometimes, so
you scared me.
I want to I want to purge that side of me.
Okay. Does anyone else have a dream role they're thinking of that they would love to have?
I would like.
Oh, go for it, Sheri.
Go ahead. No, I would just like to do sitcoms again. You know, I think it's so much fun to do comedy. So, and we don't have enough of those. So to do a sitcom would be, for me, to have a reoccurring on a sitcom would be a dream role to do that again. Because it's fun.
Like if they rebooted like Three's Company, but like on a Rez or something, right?
Yeah. You know, but have it.
The white guy in the middle,
You know, I don't think I would get cast. Oh, I could be the landlord. So yeah, that would work.
You gotta flip it all.
Kung Fu Hustle.
You know, the older you get, then things shift. You know, so it's nice you're enjoying this. You know, when you get older, then you have to create more opportunities, and more opportunities really come. So I think it would be cool just to be working in comedy. I like comedy a lot. So I wish there would be something to come up in that genre.
Mm-hmm.
You gotta let them know. We're funny.
We're fun, damn it.
Yeah.
We've got humor.
Okay, so we have another question from Tess. And
that's right. People are listening.
Yes, yeah. No, there's people here.
So sorry about the profanity.
There's about 70. There's almost 80 people here, but then like people started leaving, like all of a sudden.
Dang.
Okay, so look, Tess has a question.
We'll clean it up.
Like my moderating skills.
You fix it in post, right? This isn't live.
Okay, so Tess has a question. She wants to know how you guys found your agents. She just joined SAG. How did you guys land your agents? Anybody want to jump in on that? Sheri, yes.
I have had the same agent for like 25 years, and I did a Bill Yellowrobe play called The Independence of Eddie Rose in Seattle, and it got great reviews, you know, and so I milked that play when I came back to LA because I got cast here to go to Seattle. And a friend that was in acting class with me couldn't believe I didn't have an agent because I was hustling myself. You know, I used to hustle, you know, you have to hustle. And back then there wasn't a lot of roles for natives. So I would audition for the blonde-headed part. You know, we used to have this, I didn't care. I just wanted, you know, just to have a script in your hand. So this girl introduced me to her agent, and I had to go and audition, and you know, a friend from class, and that's how I got my agent. So there again, it's like Cara says, study, go to class, because the people you study with really know you and know that it's a great place to meet lifelong friends and to connect. And so it was through a play I did through a person in class. That's how I got my agent. Okay. And I have gotten younger actors turned on to my agent, and she's picked them up. So, you know, it's in there again, it's the community. It's our community. We help each other. So that's how I got mine.
That's great. It's glad to hear that it wasn't like a competitive thing. You know, that's really great.
No, you just work. Yeah.
Did anyone else?
I don't have an agent. I have a manager, so I'll use that too.
Well, keep your 10%. Because if you get an agent, there goes another 10.
And you don't need one either. Like,
yeah.
How was your manager? How did you land your manager?
He's awesome. And it was actually on Facebook. I was part of like a Native American casting thing that's always looking for like Native American actors. And he posted on there that he was looking for Native talent. And I was like, as Martin said, it was one of those times where I'd have given up, and I was like, fine, you know, I don't know, I'll submit. I don't know, who cares? I'm not acting anymore anyways. And then we ended up signing. I ended up signing with him because I really loved his his hustle, and he was awesome. And so I've been with him for about a year now, and it was awesome.
Great, nice.
Cool.
Kiowa or Martin, you guys have an interesting agent story you'd like to share?
Not that interesting, but I'll share it anyways.
Okay. All right.
No. It kind of goes back to the other question about how do you stay motivated when you lose motivation. And it goes back to Cara's point about acting class. That's always been my safe haven, you know. So like, when you get into acting class and you do because you can feel really discouraged by doing a ton of auditions and not even getting called back sometimes. And then you go back to acting class and you get to work out some material and you get to perform and you get good feedback from your teacher and you do a scene, you know, it feels right. And then you go home after that and you're like, okay, I got some things to work on throughout the week. But that was a really good class. I can't wait till next week, you know, and then it just builds your confidence back up. So that's always been for me. But that's actually where I met my manager too. Was in acting class. He's taught acting class for 36 years. And I walked in his acting class in 2007 and started taking his class. And I took his class for 3 years. And then he retired from acting, teaching, and just focused on his management company. And he asked me if I had a manager and wanted to put me out for auditions. And so I started auditioning for stuff through him. And you know, and early on, I got like an audition like every 3 or 4 months. And I wasn't like nowhere near prepared what I needed to be. Like how I know how to prepare now, how I know how to analyze script and, you know, break down scenes and stuff. I had no knowledge of that, you know, so I had known nothing. I didn't know anything. I just would study my lines until I felt like I memorized them in my head. And then I would be like, I'm good, you know, go to the audition and just bomb it. And then, you know, so it was like, you know, that was just the big, you know, but that's kind of how I'm still with him. So he's still my manager. And then the agent came along after I did the Magnificent Seven. UTA, I'm with UTA, and that actually connection. I got a meeting to kind of like an opportunity to meet with them. And that was set up through my buddy Chris Pratt. So we would work together and he asked me who my agent was. I had, you know, thought I was like, I need a new one, you know? So, yeah, it's, you know, and I'm still with them too. So, yeah, I like to try to make it, you know, I haven't changed or anything.
You said you're at UTA. Are you still at UTA?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Great.
Yeah.
No, they're great. I really like them. They've been really supportive. So I really.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
Yeah, lucky.
Yeah, not the other one. No,
I
the other
know
one,
that
not
is,
so
right?
much. But UTA definitely. So.
Nina. We all want to be with UTA. Martin, you're the best.
It's but the thing is, it doesn't, you know, and to me, it doesn't necessarily matter. Like sometimes being with the smaller agencies is better, you know, like because you get the opportunity to yeah, you got people that push you, you know, the downside, there's been times where things haven't been going good for me. And like, you just kind of like, they forget about you, you know? But like, they've been great for me. They've really been great for me. But there has been times where I've been frustrated, you know, and I think every actor goes through that. And it's like that. I had one time where I was like, I'm thinking about like, I need to explore my options, put it that way. And my agent had a good conversation with me and he was like, look, man, it just takes time. Like, you're right there. It takes time. You know, these things, you know, like I understand you want to be working and everybody wants to work, you know, like, but my thing was like, I just want to get the opportunities, you know, like just give me the opportunities to audition. I'll read for stuff. I don't care. You know, I want to audition as much as I can because I know how much failure I know how much failure you have to go through to succeed in this business, you know? So like, I know how many times, like I said, the success rate isn't that high for booking auditions. And so I want as many as possible. Plus you get to work on material all the time. If the thing about studying material is you get to work on it. You get to study, you know, like when you're doing pilot season, you might get an audition on Tuesday night and they'll say your audition's on Thursday morning and they send you 9 pages of material and it's like mostly monologues to memorize. And you're like, what the F is this, man? And then
all exposition.
But on Tuesday, but on Wednesday, then you get another one that's due on Friday. And you're like, and by the time, and then you got acting class on top of that, and you're like, oh my God, my brain is fried, you know? So that's just wanting to do it though. And after a while, you get to this point to where you're like, okay, I can learn these lines. You know, I'll look at some sides, 3 pages, and I'll look at it and I'll know it in an hour. But then I'll keep studying because I'm like, okay, now I need to like forget it, you know, and just and learn it so good that I can forget these lines. And then when you're performing, like it's the best when you can actually like perform. You're not thinking about your lines in a sense that like you're just telling the story, man. You're just a part of it, you know, and it kind of takes you for a ride, you know, but you really got to learn your material that well. you know, and it will take you for a ride if you really find the right emotion
That's
and
great.
the right, you know, the right place to be in. It's a good environment. You know, yeah.
Thanks, man.
I love talking about this stuff, man.
Yeah, no, that's great. No,
Yeah, baby.
you're fantastic. All right.
Hey, take it easy, man. Come on, take it easy.
I know. Well, there's questions about like, you know, if we want to get into, maybe for the last question here, we got a question about representation. And if you guys run into problems where you're seeing, you know, a problem with representation still. So, you know, let's
Fucking pretendians.
you know, so
What's the question?
it's about representation. Are you finding that there's still issues with, you know, Native representation in media on, you know, on the acting side?
Of course.
You know?
Yeah, there is.
Okay.
We
MorningStar, I
get-
haven't heard from
We
you in
get
a while.
2%. 2%.
2%. Okay,
Yeah, there
Sheri, please complete that thought, but then MorningStar, please piggyback when she's done. So
No,
Sheri-
Morningstar, take this one. Take this one.
Okay, MorningStar, please take this one.
I think there's always going to be problematic Native representation, to be frank. Even if it's made by Natives too. I think that, you know, it's a really complicated conversation about what that representation means. And I think sadly, something that we can't quite pinpoint, which is intention, plays the biggest role, I think, in that. And so it just speaks more to the fact that we need more Native people occupying multiple spaces on sets, not just the cultural advisor, but also like a sound person, the PAs, the, you know, the lighting techs, all of those things really help to create a sense of there are multiple ways to go about something, and there are many wrong ways, there are many right ways. I think ultimately it's just being mindful, and that's really what storytelling is for a lot of Indigenous communities. So I think mindfulness, intention, but I have a problem saying we're going to get to a point where there's no problematic stories about Natives. I want problematic stories about Natives. I want us to be problematic, to be fully human too. So I want us to play the villains just as much as, you know, the spiritual advisor, Native man, and, you know, all those things. I think, you know, it's complicated, but I don't think we're there yet, and I don't think we will be.
Well, does anyone want to?
I'm gonna take it down.
No, yeah, let's.
That was a
I was thinking more, I mean, we've come such a long way that I think there is an opportunity for there to be a complete, like what they're doing in Res Dogs, what they're doing in Tulsa. You know, that's a good sign to me. And what you're doing, like right now, MorningStar, you're working on your project. Is it a Native project? So I think we've come a long way. I've been here a long time, and we've come such a long way, and I think we'll go further as well. So I thought the question was how much. There's 2%. We get 2% of the work. So if you're working, which a lot of you are, then you're part of the 2%, which is a good thing. So, well, maybe we'll go up to 3%. So I don't know. I think we are getting better, and and there's more of us telling our stories rather than someone else telling our stories. And I think that's very important.
Yeah, no, thank you, Sheri. Anyone else want to, you know, talk about any issues they might have had?
I feel like there's a call to, like, we all need to wear multiple hats, not just like I started out as an actor, but now I'm like feeling like, you know what? Why am I not trying to write my own story, what I want to tell, instead of trying to find like a ghostwriter or something to tell a story in their perspective? And it's like, no, man, I should be writing. I should be figuring out how to learn how to direct, how to produce, all that stuff. That's what I love when I'm on set. You're right there in the action. You get to learn both sides of the camera. And that's what I want to just do, is just take as much knowledge as possible from everybody. So, you know, so we can all collaborate in a more proficient way, and we can all do it. We all have that within us. Like, we all start out that way when we're born, you know, we're born that way. And it's just like, life happens. Life gets in the way of all of our scientific endeavors and all of our creative endeavors. So it's just something that we all have to just chip away at. And, you know, it's a tricky thing right now. We're in this moment where it's like, hey, you know, a couple of years ago, they're like, oh, Oscar's so white. So now there's this huge push for people of color. And it's like, oh, this is our time right now. And everybody's like jumping on that bandwagon. But like, for real, like, let's fucking burn that wagon like we did in the old days and build a new one.
I'm for it.
Hell yeah.
You know, that's fine. Fantastic.
That sounded cooler in my head, but all right.
Okay. Anyone else want to talk about maybe some of the issues we have, you know, in the industry as Native people?
Yeah, smash the patriarchy.
Okay, that's just, you know, let's watch the F-bombs. Okay.
Hey.
Cara, did you or Martin,
Sure.
did you guys want to talk about maybe issues that you're seeing in the Native community when it comes to the industry?
I think part of it too is like, as a Native American, like there's so many stinking tribes. So it's like each tribe, of course, has a unique story and history than each person in that tribe has it, you know? So it's just like, I feel like accurate representation is always going to be difficult, but it's just, I love seeing the things that I'm auditioning for, like Will's pilot through ABC. Like I auditioned for that and I am so stoked that like seeing my friends like doing stuff and I'm like, yes, like, you know, like MorningStar, when she booked Outer Range, I was like freaking out when it, you know, so it's awesome seeing that there's actually more Native opportunities as far as acting, and I'm hoping that it keeps, like MorningStar said, bleeding into like other things, like all the writers, like let's get more Natives in the writers room to tell accurate stories, let's get more people behind the camera, you know, and in front of the camera, just to help bring more awareness. And so I mean, I'm excited to see where we're going right now in the industry. And like Rutherford Falls is coming out, and you know, Sheri said, I was on that too, so it's like there's so many you know, like it's amazing. So I'm stoked for like all of the awesome
That was so exciting to be there with everyone there, wasn't it?
yeah. And I was lucky because on my episode it was at a Native convention, so there was just Native extras, there was Natives like everywhere, and I was like, I'm at a powwow right now. I'm like, vibrant.
I just think that we can have that, you know, a lot. So anyway.
Yeah. And like also, I love like when I book things that aren't just Indigenous, you know, like it's just like, oh, I booked a cop on This Is Us. Like, you know, it was awesome because it wasn't like, oh, we need, you know, the token Native. It's like, no, like she was just a good actor. She booked it. And I'm like, thank you. So.
Yeah, no, that's great. Martin, do you have a final thought for us? You know, pushing the industry forward, or?
I mean, no, I loved everybody's had beautiful answers. I think we're pushing, we're charging ahead, you know, we're making progress. And that's the important thing is you see a lot more people telling our own stories, writers, directors, showrunners. I love it. When I look on IMDb Pro, the news, because they have a news feed, and I see other people I know on there show up on a job, whatever it is, I'm so excited because I'm like, oh, dope, that's awesome for them, you know. I'm so excited because I think there's enough, you know, like there's enough jobs out there. We could all be, you know, we should all have opportunities to get a shot at getting a job in the industry, and you know, so I'm just excited that there's, you know, it's an exciting time. I mean, I think pre-pandemic, there's a lot of stuff, and now there's a lot of stuff you're seeing coming up, and I think it's just going to keep going and getting, you know, keep growing. I think our stories are original, and it's like an untapped resource for Hollywood, you know, so there's a lot to explore. And I think there's, you know, like Cara said, there's so many diverse stories within Indian country, and so many diverse tribes and people that are, you know, part of this tribe and that tribe and whatever else that, you know, like there's so much uniqueness there. And I think the cultures are so different, you know, a story that is on the East Coast can be different from the West Coast and from Alaska. I'm like Kiowa said, I'm starting to think about writing. I'm like, oh man, there's these stories in Alaska, like, they just run through my head, and I'm just gonna start writing them down. Treatment, and then, you know, it's yeah, because we were
Then improv.
and the reason why I'm having those thoughts about writing that story, whatever's in my head, is because I see it happening, you know, and you don't, and this imagination, for my imagination to explore that idea, it's a byproduct of what's happening, right? Like, I don't realize, like, oh, this is happening because I'm seeing somebody. No, it's literally because I'm seeing somebody else do it, you know. Like, before I seen other natives doing it, like, I never thought about, I'm like, I always thought in like, oh, I just got to get this role. I just got to get this role that's available. I just got to, whatever. I hope they make another Dances with the Wolves or whatever, you know, or they make, you know, like, and so, but now you see so many people that are like people I've known from, you know, back in the day, from like 15 years ago, who are now showrunners. And when we were hanging out in LA, you know, and like going to the movies and talking about like wanting to work in you know, like, you see that now. It's, oh, I remember I watched their whole journey, you know, to when they sold the show to when they're now filming it. It's like, so that just gives me inspiration, and you know, like if I see somebody do something, and especially if I know them, then I'm like, oh, I could definitely do that, you know. So that's kind of yeah.
Well, if you're thinking about writing, Skins Fest has an amazing TV and feature film program that you can apply to.
Yes, they do.
Oh,
yes,
really?
Okay.
They do.
Yeah,
and I've been on both of them, and they're both absolutely amazing, and I learned so much, and I recommend everyone apply for it because it was amazing.
Yeah, no, thank you, Cara. Yeah, we have the TV Writers Lab. We're in our 6th year coming up in the spring. We're actually making our decisions now. And then we have a feature film lab entering its 4th year every fall, but they are intensive. The TV lab is 5 weeks. The feature film lab is 10 weeks. We also have an animation lab. We also have a showrunner program. And there's some other, we launch a new program every year. So we have another one. I would say take advantage until I'm dead. Otherwise, because if I'm dead, no one's doing this. Okay, so anyway, so hey, look, guys, I want to thank you for your time, and I want to thank the audience for hanging out with us and watching us, you know, talk frankly amongst ourselves here. So that was good. So, Alex, would you like to jump back on real quick? Stacey, maybe do you want to say hello too, or say goodbye? All right.
This was awesome. I can't thank you guys enough. There's like 40 questions we couldn't even get to. So I just really appreciate you guys sharing your insight and your time and enthusiasm with us tonight.
Yeah, no, I'm sorry, go ahead. Stacey?
I said it was a pleasure.
Oh, Sheri,
oh yeah, no, I had fun. This is super fun.
Oh, no, yeah, no, thank you, Martin. And I hope you guys, and I really appreciate your time. I know you guys are really busy, so I really appreciate your time. Stacey, did you want to have any final words that you want to share, or you're good?
No, just to say it's great to just sit back and those moments people were commenting about, no, keep talking like we're not here. It was so great. And I think to hear your humor and I think that's so important too. So it was, as always, it was a real honor to be here with you.
Yeah, no, I really appreciate the support and the partnership. We really do. As I mentioned, Patricia Gomez is a USC alumni, so we really appreciate that. I'm an NYU alumni, and they're not big supportive, so I don't. So again, I really appreciate it. Okay, so well, if I could take one more picture, now that Martin is here and joined us, now we're a complete crew here. If we could do a quick picture, I would appreciate it. Ready, 1, 2, 3. All right.
It's a huge honor. Thank you.
Yeah. No, thank you guys. I appreciate it, guys. Have a great night. I'll be in touch. And Alex and Stacey, always great to see you. And then I'll be in touch. Can't wait till next month. We do have a COVID relief fund for Native People Entertainment. We've already given away almost $500,000. And we did it so quickly that Netflix wants us is extending. So we can, so we have more people to share with. So yeah, so please share with friends. If you haven't applied, please do. Otherwise, I really appreciate you guys. Thanks again. Morningstar has already left the building, guys. So.
Bye, Morningstar.
Okay, bye. Bye, guys.
Bye, everyone. Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye, guys. See you later.
Break a leg.